Okay, this review is going to go over your Word Intermediate quiz. And if you are one of my students, if you go into the announcements page, you will see all the questions that I'm going to be reviewing during this video. There are 51 questions total, although you're not going to see all 51 on your quiz. I believe it's only 20 questions on your actual quiz. But this serves as a review and encompasses all possible questions that would be on that quiz. So if you have the ability to print those questions first, I would print them and keep them in front of you while you're watching this video. As I go through the video and some of the steps I'm going to demonstrate, it may not be in the exact order, but everything I go over is located somewhere on your quiz. All right. So you'll notice I already have some text here, and I just copy and pasted this from the CNN website, just so I have text on the page. And we're going to be referring back to this later on in the video. All right. So one of the things that has been added to Microsoft Word is the ability to add objects. So if we go into Insert, and let's do shapes first. So I'll just do a very basic shape. We'll do a heart. So I'm just going to create a shape, and you'll notice that I have the crosshair here, and as I move my mouse, I'm holding down my left mouse click and dragging to set the exact size of that object. Now, when I release my left mouse click, you'll notice my key, my ribbon has now changed, and you'll see the contextual bar up here is for my shapes. So here I have my insert shapes, shape styles, word art shapes, text, and arrange. Well, the first thing I want to do is go into shape and fill, and I'll make that a nice little pretty red. And then shape outline, I don't want an outline, so I'll go ahead and just do no outline. Now the other thing I can do here is go into shape effects, and you'll notice that I can go into presets. I can do shadow, reflection, glow, soft edges, bevel, and even a 3D rotation. I'm going to do the glow, and I'll give it a yellow background, or gold. All right. Now you'll notice that when I added this image, I put it down here underneath the text, but if I try to put it over on top of the text, you'll see that the text is below the shape. Well, could it be because the text was there first? No. By default, your text is always going to be on that bottom layer, on that first layer, if you will. So I'll put in new text added after heart image, period. Now if I move my heart up, you'll notice that that text is still behind my heart. Now I'm going to go ahead and add another type of object, and I'm going to do word art next. Insert word art, and this is your gallery of your available word art styles, and I'm going to choose this one. This is word art. I'll just kind of move this over here. So you notice I have my 4-way cursor to move it. There we go. Now, I have a similar contextual toolbar up here. I can do insert shapes, I can do shape styles, word art styles, text, arrange, and so on. Okay, I can also go into shape fill. Let's go into shape fill and give this a similar background that the heart has. And that's pretty close. And then I want to change my color. I'm going to do my text fill, and I want to do it in red. So now it has a similar close feel that the heart does. We did a fill for the heart and we made it red, and we did a fill for the word art and we gave it a gold or a yellow. The other type of object that we can add is smart art. So I'm going to go into right here, click on insert, and I'm going to go into smart art. And I'm just going to do list, and do a very simple list right here, and then insert. Okay, let me scroll down. I'm just going to move this down a little bit. Actually, I'm going to put this on a new page. Control Enter to create a new page. I'm going to zoom out for just a minute. I'm going to drag this onto my new page. There we go. And move this up. And move this up. I'll go over to this page and zoom back in. Okay, and when we zoom in, you're going to see this little arrow that's pointing to the left. We're going to click on that. And this is where we can create our text that are going to go into these boxes. So let's do the states. We'll do Florida, arrow down, Georgia, arrow down, Louisiana, enter, Mississippi, enter, oops, enter, there we go. Okay, so we just did it for the states. Now you'll notice that all of these have bullets. Well, these are all considered primary bullets. I can do secondary or second level bullets by clicking on Enter, Tab, and just do Tampa. Go down to Georgia, Enter, Tab, and we'll do Atlanta. Let me go ahead and take out these. And I'm going to change this to Enter, Tab, Biloxi. All right, now that I have my text, I can double click on this box and I can change colors to give it different colors. I can also right click, Format Object, Fill, Solid Fill, and add a fill color to this as well. I'll close out of this. Okay, so here we have the heart and then we have our word art. I can, if I put the heart over here, you'll see that it shows up behind the word art, which you really can't see because I have the yellow background. But what I can do is I can shift the position. If I left click on the word art, right click, I can do send to back. So send to back, we'll send it back one layer. Send backward, see how we do that? I'm going to do Control Z. And I just want to show you guys the difference between send to back and send backward. So here I have this. I'm just going to do Control C, Control V, and I'll make this a different color heart. So I double click, shape fill. Let's make this one blue. So now we have this heart on top of the red heart. And we have, so right now you can see the layers. So this is on the bottom layer, this is on the next layer up, this is on the top layer. So if I right click, send to back, send to back, you can see that the blue heart is now underneath the red heart. So I'm going to do Control Z, and I'm going to do right click, send to back, send backward. Now you'll see that it's still over top of the red heart, but it's below the layer that you have the word art on. So one does one layer, the other one does everything, or all layers. All right, the other thing I want to show you is I'm going to go ahead and put these two hearts together. Like that. Okay, so now we have the two hearts. I can make them one single object. Left click, Control left click, Shift left click, right click, and I want to do group. So now by grouping them, instead of being two separate objects, it's now one object. And this allows me to make it smaller, make it larger. I can move it. I want to bring forward, bring to front. So now they're both on the front. Now there's other things you can do besides the hearts and the word art and the smart art graphics. If we go into Insert tab, we can go down where it says Shapes, and all the way at the very bottom, you're going to see New Drawing Canvas. And this new drawing canvas allows us a space to create our own shape or whatever. Alright, so I just Control Z out of that. I'm going to go back into the shape effects. Now that I have these grouped together. So double click, shape effects. Again, you see we have all of our different options. I can do a shadow here. The shape effect presets are basically just built-in combinations of some of the effects that are being offered. Okay, so another type of object that we can add is a text box. So we can do Insert, Text Box, and I'll just do a simple text box. And text boxes are great because you can not only put in text, you can also put in images. So if I left click inside, it selects everything. Insert, online picture, and I'll do puppy. Hard to go wrong with a picture of a puppy. And then insert. So here I have a picture of a puppy. And the great thing about text boxes is that you can basically put them, you have a whole lot of control over where you place them on your document. If I just put this in as a picture, I do copy, Control V, you see I don't really have a lot of control over where this shows up. It's going to go wherever it thinks it wants it to go. Click on delete. However, with my text box, I have a whole lot more control over the exact placement of that image. Move this down a little. Now you'll see that I have this black border around the puppy. This is actually the black border is from the text box. We can easily get rid of that black border. So if I click on the border, double click, I can go into shape outline. I can change the thickness of that outline. Or I can do no outline. It's going to automatically remove all of that line. So now it's just a picture of the puppy. Isn't he cute? And you can do that with any of those objects. Okay, now let's look at rotating objects. I'm going to double click on my hearts. And you can see that we have this little rotation handle here. I can rotate any way I want. But I can also go up here to rotate. So there's always more than one way to do something in any of the Microsoft Office applications. Here we have the reshaping handles. And right now they're just circles. However, in some cases, they are yellow diamond-shaped handles that are located on or near the object. So they're not always circles. One method that we can use to resize an object is to grab any of the resizing handles. Another one is to go up here, and we can adjust it this way. Or go do the width. We can go into right click, layout options, and we can adjust the position from here. Adjust for text wrapping within the objects, and even adjust the size here. And you can tell we also can adjust the rotation that's here as well. And I'm just going to click on OK. So there's more than one way to adjust rotation. Now I'm going to ungroup this. So I'm going to do right click, group, ungroup. So now we're back to two separate images. Again, to select multiple images, I can either do my control left click, I would do control left click, or I can left click on the first one, shift left click, does the same exact thing. Now I can easily delete an object, control C, control V. I'm going to change this to a different color. Shape fill, and I'll do green. There we go. So let's say I want to delete an object. I have to first select it. Can't do anything else until I select it. If I click on tab, all it's going to do is going to rotate through my different objects. That's all tab is going to do. To delete an object, I actually have to click on the delete key on my keyboard. Now, let's say we want to drag and drop or copy or cut and paste, basically, our images. So I'm going to do Shift. Now, if I hold down my Control button, you'll see, sorry, as soon as I hold down my Control button, there's a little plus sign next to my cursor. That means I can now copy what I have selected. So I'm going to drag and basically copy and paste. Now, let's say I just want to drag and drop. I want to actually move these two things. All I have to do is click on my Shift key and my left mouse click, and I can basically drag and drop wherever I want. Or I could just hold down my left mouse click. Either way, it'll basically do the same exact thing. And I'm just going to spin these around a little bit. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and insert a table. So insert table. And just for giggle's sake, I'll make it 3 by 3. Alright, so here's my table. Now, whether we're in a table or just in one of our objects, we have alignments that are available to us. Double click this to bring up my table toolbar. If I click on layout, you'll notice we can do align top left, align top center, align top right, align center left, align center right, align bottom left, align center, bottom center, and align bottom right. But we can also go to text direction. We can change our text direction, say whether we want to go that way or that way. Okay. So in our alignment, we can do top, we can do center, and we can do bottom. Now, whenever we move an object, again, when I went to go move these objects up here, so I just want to move my heart. Whenever you move anything, and this could be in PowerPoint, it could be in Word, it could be even in Excel, but whenever you move something, you're going to have that four-way cursor. Or a four-headed arrow. Alright, I'm going to scroll down to my Smart Art graphic, which is down here. Smart Art graphics allow you to convey information as sophisticated, detailed diagrams. So by doing it this way, instead of just text, it gives it more of a visual appeal. Okay, so let's say we want to do a screenshot. If I did a screenshot from this position, I'm going to get exactly this. I'm going to get this image. I'm going to get all of this. Basically, it's going to take a picture of what I'm seeing on my screen right now. If I minimize my Word document and I take a screen print, it's going to see only what I currently see on my monitor. So if you were using your phone, your smartphone, and you went to click on a picture and you clicked on to take the picture, it's only going to see what you have in front of you. Well, the same thing with screen print or print screen. It's only going to click on, it's only going to see what it is that's currently open. So if this is minimized, I'm not going to see it. It's not going to appear in the screen print or the print screen. So it has to be visible in one way or another in order for it to show up. All right, let me go back up to my picture. So here's a picture. This is the one that's in the text box, but I only want to select the picture. If I double click my picture, you'll notice that the Picture Styles contextual toolbar shows up. I'm sorry, the Picture Tools contextual tab shows up. And we can make adjustments. We can apply a style. We can go into layouts. We can do alignment. So here we have align left, center, right, top, middle, bottom. We can distribute it, align it to the page, and so on. We can rotate it. We can even crop our picture. Now, in previous versions of Office, we had available to us what they call clip art, and that was basically royalty free. Basically, there wasn't any special license you had to get in order to use it. Click on Control Enter. Well, Microsoft Word still has the clip art. It's just not called clip art anymore. It's more of a generalized term. If we go into Insert and Online Pictures, we can access not only clip art, but images as well. So let's do puppy clip art. So here we have a puppy clip art. Insert. Okay, now we have our puppy clip art. So I had to go into Insert and then Online Images in order to make that happen. All right, now we're going to talk about fonts a little bit. And again, this is text that I just copy and pasted from CNN just so I have text on the page. I'm just going to select this first word. Sometimes to really accentuate the first part of the article or something that's written, you go into Insert and do what's called a drop cap. And you can see if I do the drop cap, it took that O and outside and made it large enough to fit all three of those lines. But it didn't affect the font here. This font is still the same way that I initially set it. The only thing that changed is the size of the first letter in the first sentence. So it took up all three of those lines. That's all a drop cap is. When you use the drop cap, the font for the drop cap does not have to match the font used in the rest of the document. I'm going to scroll back down and I'm going to create another text box. Insert, text box. I'm going to move this down. Here. So here we have a text box. Well, the text box command is actually part of a feature set known as building blocks. Alright, I'm go back to my word art. So here we have our word art. I'm just going to select these. So Shift, left click. I'm holding down my Shift, left click, and I just want to move these down a little bit. So I'm going to work with my word art for just a minute. Word art basically allows you to take any word or phrase and change it into a graphic object. Because it's a graphic object, I can do pretty much anything I want with it as far as placement is concerned. It's a graphic object just like the shapes is a graphic object, just like the the text box is a graphic object. The smart art is considered a graphic object. And you really have a lot more control over where it's placed specifically on the document. All right, I'm going to go back down to my table that I created down here and kind of select this and then double click this so I can open up my table toolbar. There are 3 direction options available in the table. You can do vertical going down, vertical going up, vertical going down, vertical going up, or horizontal, which basically goes from left to right. Table style allows you to add formatting all at once versus spending all of your time applying individual formatting like borders and shadings and such. So I can just go here and add a style. And I just want to adjust the size here. There we go. And then I want to select these 3 cells. So I'm going to hold down my left mouse click and drag, and then right click, and I want to merge the cells. Now my first row is all one cell. I can go into Home and enlarge it, center it. And go back to my table toolbar, go into Layout, and actually I want this style. I want this aligned center here. This way it's right in the middle. Now I can split a cell. So right now this is only one cell. Okay, I had to fix my direction. Let's say I want to make this more than one cell. I want this cell to be 2 cells. Well, I can go up here to split cell, and I can split cell into 2 columns, and then OK. So now I have 2 columns. Column 1, column 2, and here's column 3 that I need to correct as far as text direction. There we go. Now the table cell alignment commands include both horizontal and vertical alignments. We've seen that. The vertical alignments include top, center, and bottom. Now we can actually convert to text. We can convert the table to text by going into our Layout tab and then clicking on the data group. Oops, I'm in the wrong one. Layout, data. So I can do that. I can convert to text here. And that's going to basically remove the table formatting and just give me text from the table. Now let's say we want to have a repeat of this header. Well, in order to have a repeat of this header, we have to first select the first row of the table in order to do that. Sometimes you want to have a duplicate header. I don't know when. If you do, you'd have to make sure it's selected first. You can use formulas in here, but unlike Excel, it's not quite as friendly. So let's say if I go here, I can click on formula. Let's say I want to do equals 5 plus 5. And then do OK. And it gives me 10. Well, these are, again, should only be very, very simple equations. Now, if this was in Excel, I could easily copy and paste this to any group to any cell that I wanted. But because it's Word, we have to create the formula individually for each individual cell. All right, I'm going to go all the way up to the first part of my document and click on Home. Oops. To access the Go-To area of the Find and Replace dialog box, there's a couple of different ways to do that. One of them is to click on Find over here, and here you can click on Advanced Find, and then you click on Replace or Go To, whatever. Or you can click on Replace, and it pulls up basically the same dialog box. Or you can go into it's just those three areas. All right, Home. So here you have Find, you have Replace. We click on Select. We can do Select All, and so on. So there's more than one way to go into Find and or Replace. All right, we've already looked at the Convert to Text table command, and we saw that was on the Insert tab in the Tables group. So I'm going to go back down into my table quickly and just kind of redo that. So double click here, and here we have our Convert to Text. When you have your your table up, and you've double clicked, this is called the Table Tools contextual tab. And you'll notice that we have Design here and Layout. Layout is only going to show up in this. You have to select it. Quick tables are pre-formatted tables that are part of the building blocks that were introduced initially in Word 2007. Now, let's say we want to, I'm going to go back to where we were talking about Find and Replace. And I apologize for being all over the place, but can't be helped. There's different ways to find something. I can go into Find, and I can do RIFE. That doesn't find rife, it finds, I'll do life, and there it is, life. All right, I'm going to close out of this, and I'm going to go back here, click on Find, and I want to do more. See if I put in rife. Well, let's say I'm not sure of exactly, or I want to make some changes to anything that sounds like rife. So whenever you're talking about sounds like, you're talking about phonetics. So here's our sounds like. So now it's going to find anything that sounds like rife. And if I do Find Next, yes, yes. Try Find Next. So you found a brief. Find Next, brief. Find Next, reef. So it's spelling this as reef and not rife. Find Next, OK. Find Next, yes, yes, OK. So you can search it via phonetics or sounds like option. Now, let's say we have to clear the formatting out of the Find and Replace dialog box. That would be here. Let's say we only want to find, I'll click on Replace, and if I go here, type in all, I can do Format, Font, let's do it red, and bold, and then OK. And if I do Replace, yes, yes, Replace. So there, I just changed it. Now let's say you want to remove that. In order to do that, I have to go back into Format. See, we still have this format on here. Go back to font color again, red, and then OK. Now I can click on No Formatting to remove any formatting that I've already used. So I'm going to close out of this now. So to clear the formatting out of the Find and Replace dialog box, you're simply going to click on the button that says No Formatting. In the Find and Replace dialog box, assuming that your cursor is in the top of the document, to move to the first occurrence of whatever you're trying to find, you're going to click on Find Next. To replace every occurrence within the document, you're going to click on Replace All. Now, you'll notice that up here, the first part of my Word document, I have this ruler. If you don't have this ruler and you're kind of trying to follow along, if you click on View and checkbox this ruler, the ruler will appear. And I'm going to click on Home. When you move the gray box on the ruler to change the column width, in order to resize columns, okay, so it's talking about tables here. So I'm just going to adjust this. So here I have the arrow going left and right. If I just do my left and right, you'll notice it's only going to adjust the two columns that are directly affected. It doesn't affect the overall width of the table or size of the table. Now, if I do my Shift key and do the same thing, you'll see how it now adjusts the size of the entire table. The height of a row in a table automatically adjusts based off of the size of the font. So let's say if I make this a little bit smaller. Here I have this text right here. I'm just going to enlarge it. I want you to see how the row is affected. See how the row becomes larger to accommodate. The distribute commands. Let me go back into tables. Okay, here's my table, contextual menu. And I'll go here, layout. If I click on distribute rows, what it's going to do is going to look up the overall height and width. The overall height of the table as a whole. It's going to try and distribute those rows evenly. If I do distribute columns, it's going to do the same thing with columns. It's going to look at all of the columns and distribute the column width evenly. You can merge any combination of cells as long as they are both adjacent to each other. So if I go to select this cell and this cell, I can right click and merge. If I want to select this cell and this cell, I can right click and I can merge cells. I can't merge a cell unless it's actually touching. It has to be left or right of it or below it or above it. It has to be touching horizontally or vertically. If it's diagonally, it's not going to work. When you select information that is next to each other, one of the ways to do that is I can do click, move my mouse to where I want it, shift, left click. That's just one way of selecting text. Or I can hold down my left mouse click and drag it across to where I want it. If I only want to select one word, put my mouse right here and double click, it'll only select one word. So click, shift, click will allow us to select adjacent information. In this case, it was that entire sentence. All right, let's go back to our table for a moment. And I want to delete this component. So we're going to select the table element that we want to remove. And then we're going to go up into our table tools. Oops. All right, we're in our table tools. I'll select the text that I want to remove. And then if we click on the Layout tab, we can now click on either delete the table or we can select coinciding delete information. So we can actually just click on delete here and it'll just delete what we have in that particular cell. Or we can go into delete and delete a cell, shift cells up, and now we have just these two cells here, these two cells here, and this one cell here. When you insert columns in a table, the new column lists are going to automatically adjust to stay within the document margins. Now, when you're in the table with the cursor on the last cell of the preceding row, if you press enter on the keyboard, all you're going to do is add another space within the cell that you're in. Okay, now let's get into capitalizing first letter of sentences and auto-correcting features. These are a little bit more complicated. Okay, so to access those particular features, let's take a look. If we go to our Backstage view by clicking on File, and then go down into Options, now we're going to click on Proofing. Here we have autocorrect options. If you click on the autocorrect options, you see that we have autocorrect, show autocorrect options button, correct two initial capitals, capitalized first letter of sentences, capitalized first letter of table cells, capitalized name of days, correct accidental usage of caps lock key, and so on. You can also click on math autocorrect, auto format as you type. This is another thing that most people don't use. You can do straight quotes with smart quotes, fractions to change it to a smaller, like 1/2, make it like half the size. Bold and italic have real formatting, and you have internet and network paths show hyperlinks, and you have ordinals in the first show as a superscript. Hyphens, if you have two hyphens in a row, it's going to show as a dash. You can also apply as you type, for instance, automatic bulleted lists, border lines, automatic number lists, and tables. You can automatically, as you type, format beginning of list item like the one before it, and set the left and right first indent with tabs and backspaces. You can also define styles based on your formatting. Then if we go into auto format, you can apply built-in heading styles, list styles, automatic bulleted lists, and other paragraph styles. You can do replace, and these are all the things you can do replace. You can preserve styles and always auto format plain text email documents. And then we have actions. You can enable any of these. You can leave this unenabled. Here we have address, date as an XML. You have instant messaging contacts, English measurement converter, person name, place, telephone number, and time. If we click on more actions, it's going to give us more information on that. Go ahead and minimize this, and I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. So the auto format as you type feature will replace type, straight quotes again with smart quotes, or replace with fraction with characters. It'll auto format as you type. Will also replace ordinals with superscript. Now let's say we wanted to delete to delete a Roosevelt initial caps exception from the autocorrect feature. The steps that we're going to follow is, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into our autocorrect options and click on the where it says correct to initial capitals. We're going to click on exceptions. So we're going to go ahead and select, and if there's a list here, you'd have to scroll through it, select it, and then simply click on delete, and then click on OK. And then you're going to follow those same steps for each entry that you want to delete. When you're finished, you're going to click on OK. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click on OK, and then close out of this. So let's go back to our find and replace. The find command is now part of the navigation pane in Microsoft Word. The changes that you make in auto format, when we're back in auto format, the auto format as you type area of the autocorrect feature will only affect how auto format as you type performs in Microsoft Word. It has nothing to do with print preview or anything like that. Not only can you delete custom entries that we've created added to the autocorrect feature, but you can also delete any of the existing entries. To add a word manually to the autocorrect feature, you have to go into the autocorrect dialog box, type in the misspelled spelling of the word in the replace text box, and then correct the spelling of the word in with the with text box, then click on the add button. Words added to the initial caps exception area of the autocorrect feature will all begin with 2 capital letters. To add an abbreviation to the autocorrect feature so that word doesn't change the first letter of the word typed after it to a capital letter, you have to go into the autocorrect dialog box, select the exceptions button, make sure that the first letter tab is selected, then type in the abbreviation into the don't capitalize after text box. Then click on the add button. When you're finished, click on OK. And this is going to conclude the Microsoft Intermediate quiz review.